please. We'll have the prayer by Commissioner Vandergrift and then the pledge of allegiance by Commissioner Palmer.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much, Lord, for the opportunity to come before you and to honor you, Lord, and to give you the glory. Lord, we just thank you so much around this time of year, especially for giving us the perfect gift. John 3:16 tells us that you gave us your only begotten Son, that if we believe in him, that we wouldn't perish but have everlasting life with you, Lord. And we thank you for that. Lord, we just pray that you would forgive us of any sin in our heart or in our lives, Lord. Call it to our attention and forgive us of that. Lord, we thank you for bringing us together. We pray that you would be with us and guide our thoughts and our hearts and our speech towards one another, that we may be able to conduct business that would be pleasing to you. We thank you and for all of this, and in your precious and holy name, amen.
Amen.
A moment of silence, please.
Oh, yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Rainey passed away yesterday, I believe, and he's a longtime election commission member. And even before I got involved in politics, I knew about Dr. Rainey because my mom worked for him when she first got out of high school. And while she was a dental hygienist for Dr. Rainey, she met my dad, who came to the office there. So, and then she worked with Dr. Rainey on Winfield Dunn's gubernatorial campaign after that. So if we could do a moment of silence for him.
Thank you.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next is the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, if it's all right, could we move item 6 under the law director's report? Just somewhere earlier in the agenda, it looks like we've got a couple retired teachers here that would like to
You
maybe
want to do
speak
it
on behalf
after
of.
appearance of citizens?
Yeah, maybe item 4A, if that's okay.
Yes. That's what we'll do. Okay. Any other changes? All in favor is amended.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next is the appearance of citizens. If there's any citizens that have anything that's not on the agenda. Seeing none, we're going to move up to joint resolution opposing school voucher program, and I think we have some people that want to speak about that.
Like two.
Name and address, please.
Susan Fowler, 1135 Old Lake City Highway, Clinton, Tennessee. And I'm here because I truly oppose school vouchers. I oppose charter schools. I'm a retired educator, and I think that this will greatly impact our own school systems, the three, the one in Oak Ridge, the one in Anderson County, and the one in Clinton. It will cut their funding, and it is already difficult, apparently, from what I'm hearing. There are already funding problems because a lot of kids are now homeschooling. And when your enrollment goes down, your funds go down, but a lot of your basic costs don't go down because you still have to heat the buildings, you gotta light the buildings, you have to retain a certain number of employees. Like I think we have a nurse in every school now, and we cannot afford for public education to be penalized by losing funds.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak? Jay, do you want to, are you prepared to take that up now or just later?
I'll be glad to take it up, sir.
Okay.
I don't have much to say on it. I just drafted the resolution, but I can help you with Any questions you may have
Okay.
on it? Basically, where we're at on it is, this law is, not passed. What it's asking for is, to vote against the Education Freedom Act, Scholarship Act, that has the vouchers in it at this time. Now, there's been some proposals that if it passes, there could be an opt-out, but that's just, amendment standing by. We don't know that. But right now, our resolution will be a joint resolution between Anderson County Schools, Anderson County Government, Clinton City Schools, Clinton Government, City Government, Oak Ridge City Government, and Oak Ridge Schools. See, it's, everybody was signing off on it, and, basically says we're opposing the bill as it stands right now.
Commissioner Anderson, you have a motion?
Yeah, I'll motion to approve the resolution. It's pending.
Seconded by Commissioner Barron. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Let's see, the noes just raising hand. Okay. Motion passes. Okay. Next, we'll go on to the Knoxville Wise Garber Distribution Center closing. And what this is for information only. And in your packet, you'll see some letters that came from our federal, state legislators. They're aware of it. And what concerns me, and we've had this issue before up in Briceville, about closing the post office. When you have the distribution center, if it closes and it moves to Louisville, Kentucky, I mean, we have issues, I know in Oak Ridge, Claxton, and other places, especially I see in Oak Ridge on this chat where, you know, they make days, they're wondering if they're gonna get mail or not. So if they change this distribution center to Louisville, how's that gonna affect? And in that letter, you'll see where that's what they're asking. Tim Birch is asking for it, Chuck Fleischman. And what it will do too, what I understand, is they've got a 10-year plan with a new postmaster general, and what it will do is they'll start consolidating. So if they close, you know, the high school, the Briceville, the Rocky Top post offices, what they'll do, they'll, you know, push it all into Clinton and it come out of Clinton. So, you know, there's some big changes there. And what I would like to do is if this committee would approve that, is maybe the letter, or the mayor to write a letter to, you know, our federal, Tim Burchett, Chuck Fleischman, and Harshbarger, and everybody that you see the letter from, and just say that, you know, we're interested and we want to make sure that these answers, the questions they have get answered. I don't think they've done a good job, and you've seen it in the news on Channel 10, 6, and 8, you know, when they did their interview over there. I mean, they don't even know what's going to go on. But we just want the public to know that we're aware of it, and we want to keep them abreast, because if you start closing post office, that's really going to affect a lot of people. Okay. We have a motion that the mayor could write a letter.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Anything on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous. The next is the review of county organizational chart and supervision requested by Commissioner Palmer.
We are actually going to be covering that under the law director's report, so we can just wait till then.
Okay. All right, mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item on the agenda is requesting motion to approve resolution number 2311-1132, supporting Operation Greenlight for veterans. Last year, this body approved this. Commissioner Isabel brought this resolution to us, and we did put green lights on the courthouse for that week of Veterans Day. And this year, I did not get the resolution on, but we distributed an email, and the commissioners authorized that, so we made it happen. And Commissioner Barron suggested that we do a resolution that just authorizes this on an annual basis unless it's changed at some point in the future. And that would just go ahead and authorize the building department to do that for that week every year.
Good idea. Got a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
Okay, and the second item, Mr. Chairman, Roane County is working on a resolution, and I included theirs in the packet, and they have asked that we consider passage of this resolution as well. Basically, it would authorize partnerships between Roane County government and other potential stakeholders, including city, county, federal government entities, federal contractors, economic, industrial development organizations, and utilities for the purpose of establishing a regional collaborative approach to economic and workforce development. And basically, if you read down, I don't want to read through all of this unless you want me to. Commissioner McCamey nods no. Basically, we have a lot going on in the nuclear space, and with industries, businesses, and, you know, from nuclear itself to all kinds of tech and research, looking at locating on or near the Oak Ridge Reservation in response to opportunities and advantages afforded by the lab, Y-12, TVA, and of course, then you've got the partnership with University of Tennessee and others. And this isn't committing to anything such as funding. This is a resolution in spirit that we would collaborate and we would work together. And that's what that resolution is in front of you.
We have a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion and a second by Commissioner Allen. Any discussion on the motion or the resolution? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
Okay, and that's all I have. I do have an update. Animal Shelter Director Damon McKenna, I had mentioned last month, he was going to be here. He's going to be here in January, and Dr. Garrett will be with him as well. They'll provide some statistical updates, what they're seeing in the community, and then Dr. Garrett will also be available to answer any kind of questions as well.
Okay. Anything else for the mayor? Mr. Wanda?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor, will they be available for the next animal shelter meeting, their care advisory?
When is the next meeting?
January 11th.
I will certainly.
Excuse me, January 4th.
January 4th,
Yes.
okay. I will ask.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else to the mayor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Law Director's report.
Which one you got first, Mr. Chairman?
Human Resources Resolution.
Okay. You've got, I think, two different versions. I've got three prepared. I'll try to go over some. I thought originally that we were moving this under Robbie. So I've got one prepared just to move it under Robbie. Then a second one was requested to move it under Finance Director. And with him having the ability to hire and fire, then Saturday I got a request from two commissioners to move it under the mayor. So the latest one is, I've got the red on it, showing it, and there's some bold. The bold came from the second one that I put out on Friday. But let me go over some of the stuff. On the heading, I've added a resolution to establish the Anderson County Human Resources Department, Human Resources Advisory Committee, and the reporting structure. So change that in there. When we get through with the final version, I'll strike the emphasis added portions on these. Then I quoted the Tennessee Code Annotated 56106. It states that the mayor has the power to appoint county department heads. You see that in italics. Then I added a second whereas clause. The county legislative body desires to create a reporting structure that follows TCA 56106. Hereby designates the county mayor as the day-to-day supervisor and the director of human resources. Such county mayor shall possess all authorizations, duties, obligations, and supervisions, compliance, oversight over the director of human resources. Then you come into the amendments, and I've gone through those. Amendment 3 is I added and report all findings to the county mayor in consultation with the county mayor. That's in Amendment 3, amend Section 2, Paragraph 3. That was replacing language that said report all findings to the advisory board and the chairman of the advisory board. That's been changed to the county mayor. Also, I added the county mayor shall select and recommend a candidate for final confirmation by the county commission. That before said the advisory board would select and present. Amendment 5, the county mayor shall appoint an employee but not a member of the advisory committee to record and maintain the official minutes. The reason I did that, it becomes I hate to say this because poor Annette gets stuck with a lot of these duties, but it becomes a real problem for a voting member to take the minutes, and that slows down the meeting. But anyway, that will be a member, not a member of the advisory committee, but an employee of county mayor that the mayor would appoint to take the minutes. Amendment 6 just reinforces the human resources director will be under the day-to-day direction and control of the county mayor. Additional there in Amendment 6, paragraph, that's amendment section 3, paragraph 1. Add human resources director shall report to the county mayor. Addition of county mayor, human resources advisory committee, and the county commission may request status reports as needed. The addition is the county mayor there in red. Amendment 7, termination of human resources director. Amended as follows. Add the county mayor upon due notice to the advisory committee may terminate the director of human resources at his or her discretion. Those are the amendments that I have. Any question on any of those amendments?
Commissioner Yeager.
So is it your opinion we've been doing it wrong for the last 20-some years or so?
No.
Okay, can you explain?
I would say in part, what happened on that, on the HR committee, there's a title in Tennessee Code Annotated that gives the county commission the authority to basically to approve personnel policies. And I think you might have heard the history of this back then. There was a problem with numerous different personnel policies. When I was, before we got an HR director, I would get an HR question, and the first thing we had to determine was which personnel policy we followed. Most all offices had a different personnel policy, and they were significant differences in them. The county commission at that time had a desire to put together a comprehensive personnel policy, and that's what they wanted. The whole idea was to get one personnel policy and somebody to do all the human resource benefits, new employees, and it became, there was a section in here that says risk management to do all the federal compliance and state compliance, and it just snowballed into that. But as far as the selection of the department head, I think it's clear with 56106. That's under the county mayor. We did it originally with a resolution, and that resolution had the county mayor as the chairman of that committee. And we felt like that was trying to satisfy both sections of the code, the county personnel policy, trying to satisfy 56106. The county mayor would be the chairman of that advisory committee, and the county mayor signed off on it. But it's a different time these days, and if you want to go strictly by 56106 and leave the Human Resources Advisory Committee there for policy and review and compliance and things like that and ideas, I think it's a great idea because the stakeholders, you remember, were all these elected officials. And we wanted to get them to all buy into this idea of a comprehensive personnel policy, and that's what it took. They actually signed a letter to the county commission saying they would abide by the county personnel policy, whatever was adopted by the county commission. They did. They've continued to do that ever since. But the way it was originally written, the county mayor was the chairman of the advisory board.
Commissioner McCamey.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't get any of this until Saturday evening and some of it on Sunday. And the first thing that stuck out to me was the fact that none of these boards have had an opportunity to look at this. So I'd like to make a motion that we defer action and have this sent to the different boards for them to come back and weigh in on what they think about it. We've got a lot of good people on the different boards, that I feel like it's just a slap in the face, you know, to bring this up all of a sudden, just out of the blue. And like I said, I've had less than 3 days now to decipher it and talk to my constituents about it. So I'd like to defer action until next month on item 1, 2, and 3 under the mayor, law director's report.
Second.
A motion second to defer. Any discussion on deferment? Not supposed to have any, but all in favor to defer, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
All right, please raise your hand to defer. 1, 2, 3, 4. That means motion fails. 4 to 4.
I would like to, if you don't mind, just out of courtesy to these stakeholders who have bought into it, these elected officials, forward to them and ask them to give me comments or appear at the next meeting. I think we owe it to them. They bought into it years ago, so that's my only request.
Okay. All right, do we have another motion?
You can make a motion to approve as is. I make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion second. Other discussion?
Is this, is this motion just for item 1 or for all?
Just
three?
for item 1. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Wandell,
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. So the motion is to approve item 1
as
as
written.
presented, and that would have the mayor as,
Mhm. Okay.
well, I'll just say this. I know the motion's different, but I would like for it to, as Jay said and Commissioner McCamey, I'd like for everyone that's involved to kind of have a set of eyes on it before we just pass it as is. But I'll probably just vote against it as it is right now. I'd like for the department heads to take a look at it, but thank you.
I would say that if this fails, then that's what'll happen. We'll just put it off to next month. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand, please. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those against? Motion fails. So I guess what we'll have to do is take it up next month.
Yeah, if anybody wants any changes to this, I'll be glad to. Remember, these reds and the bolds in here, when we get to a point where we've got something, a written document everybody agrees on, I'll take all those out to have a clean document. What's your next one, Mr. Chairman? I'll help you.
The next one is tourism resolution.
The tourism, we went back as part of this crazy memo I'm authoring right now, the tourism history. It's all over the place, so stand by on that one. There's a long history with tourism council. We've got a private act on point. That private act only establishes the occupancy tax, okay? It doesn't talk about the tourism council. It doesn't reflect the tourism director in any way. So this is a much cleaner resolution. Basically, I cite the same code, 56106, that allows the county mayor to appoint department heads. And the first whereas, I note that the oversight board is composed of 20 members, with only 3 board members being Anderson County officials, 1 being the county mayor, 2 members of the county legislative body. The other members are municipal officials and community tourism partners. Then I quote 56106, same statute that we mentioned before. And third whereas clause, county legislative body desires to create a reporting structure that follows the Tennessee Code annotated, hereby designates the county mayor as the day-to-day supervisor of the director of tourism. Such county mayor shall possess all authorizations, duties, and obligations of supervision, compliance, and oversight over the director. And then the now therefore basically reiterating what I just said. But this is pretty streamlined. It just puts the tourism director under the county mayor. The day-to-day operations will be monitored by the county mayor.
Okay. Have a motion. Commissioner Yap?
Oh.
Motion to approve.
Okay. And motion second. Any other discussion? I'll.
Sorry,
Wandell.
a little slow tonight,
That's
Ann.
all right.
Stephanie, have you had a chance to look at this?
I received the email.
Do you feel comfortable with us passing it tonight?
Out of respect to the Tourism Council, I would like to have their input. I would like to have their feedback. Just, I mean, as, you know, Commissioner McCamey pointed out, these members are members of this community, members of this business community, and they've served on the Tourism Council for many years. I'd like to have their feedback.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any other discussion? Commissioner McCain?
Jay, the bylaws that the council has, would that still be in effect, or would that just be
At the
null and
present
void?
time, but there's gonna be some areas in there that are gonna be in conflict, and we have to go back and edit and review, and get those bylaws passed again. I don't think anybody wants to dissolve the tourism board, but, if you do, that's an easier thing, but if you want to just put the day-to-day operations of supervision under the county mayor, leave the advisory board intact, I would tell you that we need to edit and amend those bylaws.
That's what I was thinking, if we
Yeah,
were gonna have to do
there's
that
gonna be
again,
some-
I don't have a copy of those bylaws, I don't know what we would have to amend. And
I've got 'em.
that was my motion earlier to defer, all three of them, because I've not had enough time really to, you know, absorb all this, and it feels like we're kind of rushing things, you know, we talked about it last month, and I understand that some commissioners had a prior look at the different resolutions and made recommendations and all that. I wasn't privy to that, so I don't know. But
How that came about, I'm not disagreeing with you, but if I sent out the original drafts, I asked for questions, concerns, possible edits. That's on my side. I'm just trying to get something that's, I have different versions, and whatever version passes is up to you guys, but I try to take care of all the requests. That's how that happened.
all right.
Any other discussion? Chairman Mays.
Really just a question for Jay, and I guess the board, is how do we as a body get around the statute that specifically states that other than in general law and then by private act, that the county mayor shall be supervise and appoint these department heads? I guess that's the first question I have. And then two, when this first came out, some of you were at the strategic planning workshop, some were not. That was a big part of discussion there. So a lot of this conversation was birthed in October, not just 28 days ago. But the other thing is so I reached out to 94 mayors, sent out, just curious, and of course I didn't get all responses, but close to 37 or 38. And not to my surprise, we're the only county that operates this way, under a community-led department. Most of them operated under the county mayor, but there were counties, I think Blount was one, Hamlin might have been another one, that some of these fall under the direction of the finance director. And I share what Commissioner McCamey said is I think that's what's so important about getting things in timely is being able to absorb a lot of this stuff. But I would just ask, as a body, how do we get around the statute that specifically states what these departments are supposed to fall under? And I can say for me, I've had a lot of these committee members reach out to me to give their opinion on this. So I think that a lot of them have been able to digest this for the last 30 days. But I guess that would be a question for Jay, is as a board, how do we get around the law that states that they shall, the mayor shall?
It's just that simple, we follow it.
So maybe just as a recommendation is that if the board, maybe next month, if you elect to do it, is whether we create have a workshop or something that brings in all of these stakeholders to prepare for, if this body does pass it and full commission passes it, is to prepare for the changes. But I can assure you, I can't speak for everybody, but I know that my phone has blown up by almost majority of the committee members on both sides about this issue, even dating back to October when we had the workshop. But just my thoughts. Again, I just wanted to share the survey that I asked the mayors. No one's operating like us, and it was surprising to everyone that we operated in this manner. But be that as it may, I just wanted to share that with you guys and just ask, how do we avoid the law on that one?
Chairman May, I just want to commend you on the email that you sent and the research that you've done. We appreciate that very much.
I can help you with just a little bit of it, but the tourism department started years ago, and it was sort of a non-profit arrangement outside of county government. And then back in the early to mid-90s, county commission started giving donations. And then they ended up bringing the tourism council. Now remember, they call themselves the council. If you look at that statute, it's pretty explicit. The county mayor shall appoint members of county boards and commissions. It doesn't say committees, it doesn't say anything else. In Title I of Tennessee Code Annotated, where it gives you your definitions, there's a statute that says you cannot narrow or make a word broader than the general interpretation intended by the General Assembly. So you can't broaden any interpretation. That's a long line of case law after that. It means what it means, is what it says. So that's always a problem for me when they named it a council. That doesn't fall within the statute. It says county boards and commissions. Otherwise, we've got a lot of committees here in county government, and we've got one called a council. Was that intentional? I have no idea. Stephanie thinks there might be one original member that's still living, that's still involved in this, so I might have to reach out to them. But as far as the department head, I can clear that up real simple. I think we need to buy a 56106 and put the day-to-day operations of tourism underneath the county mayor. That makes that compliance issue done, because it does say department heads. I've got that in italics. But there has to be a role for the tourism council. There's got to be some way to bounce things off community partners about tourism, to get their ideas. We never think that we know it all in this area, and tourism is an area that I really don't know a lot about. But that's just my recommendation, that I think we should leave that council in place, subject to maybe reform of their bylaws. But we need to comply with the statute on 56106, and that's the mayor's responsibility. Now I'm talking about tourism at this point.
Question?
Commissioner Palmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you're referring to the original resolution in 2008 for tourism, correct? That it was formed as a council at that time?
What resolution are you talking
Or
about?
well, I guess it's the bylaws.
Bylaws. There's
Bylaws.
been several sets of bylaws going back to the early 90s, and thank you, Annette, for, I don't know how many hours you spent on that, but there's numerous bylaws.
Okay, so, but in '08, this council was changed to a board at the 2020. I've got the '08 where it's marked out. It says the Anderson County Tourism Council Advisory marked out, and its board of directors is put in
Did that
place.
pass, Stephanie?
It is a board of directors, but it's under the Anderson County Tourism Council, just like was done as a board.
Okay, that just refers to your board.
Yes.
Lord, it gets worse. So it's still the Anderson County Tourism Council. Well, my advice is the same. We need to go back, and whatever happens here is amend those bylaws to get them Administer-
So is the
this
2020 the last bylaws?
I think that's the last ones I've got.
Okay, and it says the Anderson County Tourism Council Board of Directors.
Right.
Okay.
There's a board of director under the tourism council, I know that. But this statute, this resolution, okay, you've got before you tonight, does one thing.
Put the mayor in charge.
Put it under the mayor's responsibility.
That's it.
Any other discussion?
I have just one question. So we need to vote yes to get in compliance with the,
56106, she's a department head.
to be legally compliant. We need, okay.
Okay. If everybody's done, I just want to speak and say that the advisory council is very important. I've served on that since 2010, and there's a lot of good ideas to come out of it. They are good community partners, so I wouldn't want to do away with that whatsoever. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
Motion passes with 2 no votes. Okay. Next is the IT resolution.
The IT resolution, very similar. This is the one that was requested Saturday morning. Added a whereas clause to make us compliant with 56106. The same whereas clause I put in the HR resolution is there, the last one. Then I added to the heading, Information Technology Director and Reporting Structure. Amendment 2 was the 56106, and that whereas clause. Amendment 3, amend section 2, third paragraph, the county mayor shall serve as the permanent chair of the Information Technology Advisory Board unless delegated by the county mayor to another board member. I feel strongly about that provision. I think the county mayor, I don't know if Terry agrees with me, should be the chairman of this board. I really do. But in Amendment 4, the IT director shall be under the day-to-day direction and control of the chairman of the Information Technology Advisory Board. IT director, the addition was IT director will be under the day-to-day direction and control of the county mayor. Amendment 5, strike all director vacancies will be filled by majority vote of the advisory board and subject to confirmation by the county commission. Add director vacancies will be filled by the county mayor. Amendment 6 was termination of the director. We deleted the advisory board may terminate the director upon 2/3 vote of the membership. The addition was the county mayor may terminate the director of information technology at his or her discretion, and that's what I've got on that one. Again, this one is made up of stakeholders, county officials, elected officials. They bought into this whole idea of the collaborative IT approach. Many years ago, it became evident that we had numerous departments that had several different IT contractors. And when they looked at it, they felt as though we could save money by combining that into our own IT department and getting away with using numerous different IT contractors. In fact, it was pretty much a mess. But anyway, that's when we brought Brian in, and then this resolution passed thereafter. And put the board in place with the stakeholders that had control budgets, elected officials, and that's how that occurred on the IT advisory board. Today, it's made up of pretty much the same officials that make up the HR advisory board. All your elected officials, I think, Hal Cousins is on this one, and he's not on HR. There's one change, and but anyway, that's what you got before you. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to help you with any of that.
Commissioner Yeager?
Do you see a difference in HR and IT as far as one being applicable and one not? Or should they both be identical?
Well, the question there comes down to, it seems like they should be identical, and the department head issue may be, but the way they came about was a little bit different. It was a joint venture of stakeholders, but it began, the HR issue began with trying to get a comprehensive personnel policy and getting everybody on the same personnel policy. That's how that occurred. They were trying to become compliant with the County Personnel Act, which requires certain things being a personnel policy. And they felt like one person could manage the department. We had to replace the lady who walked off the job. If you know any of that happened, filed suit against against us that was the insurance manager at that time. So it was kind of done on the fly. But they came together and decided that best thing to do was to develop an HR department, handle all these HR concerns. There was no need to duplicate it in every office, no need to go through different types of paperwork in every office to have a comprehensive approach to a personnel policy. And I certainly was for it. I was getting all the HR issues, which were all over the place. But that's how, I guess, how they were birthed is a little bit different. But how it's set up is similar, with stakeholders involved in the decisions of that department, the people that actually utilize it.
I have another. I think following the law is following the law. I'm not sure why tourism gets passed tonight and the other, I don't know about this next one, but I just don't understand how the three are different. And that if either one should, I mean, all three should or none should. I don't think it should be 1, 2, or 3. I think it should be 3 or 0. So I just don't get the difference between the three departments, why one might be the right way to move.
Well, I'm not saying, I'm not arguing with you.
Yeah, I know. I'm just stating
telling you the background of how they were set up.
Yeah.
They came about in different ways with different reasons, and but I'm in full agreement. We need to comply with the law. There's no
Okay.
doubt about that.
All right, thank you.
I think in our discussion that we had in 2, it's not the same discussion as we had in 1, in what the law should be. Yeah. Commissioner Palmer?
Excuse me, so, I noticed that this IT resolution that you've given us does not reflect the changes that were made in May and adopted or approved, on the consent agenda this past August. There were 3 changes, to, the risk management area, to, clarifying language of the disclosure of criminal record, and then expanding the language added for the new hire introduction and orientation. And,
Are we talking about which one are you talking about?
okay, so I'm looking at, the Anderson County Human Resource Advisory Committee minutes,
Oh,
May,
I'm
at
sorry,
Harrison's Bar and
I
Grill.
thought we were talking about the IT resolution.
I'm sorry, you're exactly right.
Uh-huh.
When are these, where's this resolution? I guess, I'm sorry, maybe I should ask this question at a different time.
I don't know. You asked me to put together resolutions, and I went back to the last resolution I've got, and that resolution is what I used as a template to make it.
So we don't have this resolution that we just passed in August?
This past August?
It's on the consent agenda for August of 2023.
That's for HR, right?
Yes, for HR.
The
I'm sorry,
HR.
I've changed gears on you, I apologize.
That's okay,
I'm
that's no
thinking,
problem. The HR always had a criminal investigative background check in it, to my knowledge. What was the other ones, ma'am? I'm sorry.
it was for the risk management,
Risk management has been in there.
but you changed it. It was changed in
What-
in
what is-
May, and
what
then
is
we
the
adopted
change?
it in August.
I'm sorry, they never asked me to do a resolution on that.
Okay, I've got a copy of it. It just
Wow.
doesn't have a resolution
We need-
number.
You said, what
Can I
was
give
it?
that to you?
But, yeah, the criminal.
It doesn't have a resolution number, but it is something that we passed this past August, I'm sorry, August of
Of
2023.
2023?
Yes.
And it had changes to the criminal, background, and what was the other one you said?
Right here. There's 3 of them. I zoned out on you for a second, I apologize.
It says in there that it never got delivered for signature, to my knowledge, but it was on consent agenda.
I guess I'm just a little concerned too that we've got 2 departments that, I mean, when I read that statute, I feel like they fall under that, and I don't, are we just waiting another month to make sure that the stakeholders have had an opportunity to read your resolutions? Is that the reason for the delay?
Ma'am, that's what I understand. I understand that from the conversation up here, that they want all the stakeholders to be aware of the changes and to receive input from them. And there was amendments in 08, 21, 23, they need to be passed, there needs to be a new resolution signed. That's my advice on this. Consent agenda, that's not really a place for consent agenda items, that's an action item that needs to come before county commission.
Yeah.
We've talked about this numerous times.
I think it's little things like this that spurred the conversation.
Of course.
And why there needs to be some kind of a streamline, efficiency, that sort of thing.
Oh, I agree with you 100%.
And so as the maker of the motion last month, you know, that was the whole reason. It had nothing to do with, you know, any of the employees getting rid of the board. I thought that was clear. And we've had those conversations. I've had numerous people call about these, you know, what I asked for last month. And once we got the resolutions, they got them and they called. And so I don't know, I'm a little disturbed by the delay. If it's just as a courtesy for the committee, then that's great. But I mean, I don't know how we can get around what the TCA says.
Well, you know, in light of the conversation or what Commissioner Yeager brought up, and we had this conversation under number 2 and not under number 1. So I agree with Commissioner Yeager, and I think most commissioners will. I mean, if that's the code, that's the code. You know, that's what we're supposed to abide by, and that's what we got from the law director. So we can go back and take that back up to approve that code, but still yet, you know, just like what we're going to do is, you know, the advisory committee for tourism and then advisory committee for HR, you know, they can meet. I just think we need to get under code, but right now we're dealing with IT. So let's go ahead and finish that up. And
Okay. Let me see if I got all the changes out to you. This would have been the one that I sent out yesterday. This one was sent out Friday. I was gone to the county attorney's conference, board of directors meeting for Friday and Saturday. I got back, worked on these yesterday afternoon, and the changes. You got me confused, Denise. I'm picking up the HR resolution.
I just
Okay.
I was wrapped around the axle there for
We're
a
all,
minute.
we're
I hadn't
all
moved on to IT
different
yet.
ones. Maybe we should do one each month, but whatever. Okay, I'm down to Amendment 6, and that's termination of the director. The county mayor may terminate the director of information technology at his or her discretion. And that's basically the changes in that one. I think if there is some middle ground on this, is to have the county mayor, and that's the way, as I said, the way it was on the HR resolution initially, have the county mayor be the supervisor of the department and chair the advisory board, but give the stakeholders some voice in this, some real voice. And I think that's the middle ground where you'll find support. I think and again, I didn't send those out until Friday. I got approval from the people that requested them, made some changes. But I think that was some of their issue is, well, is there a need for even an advisory board? Well, I would strongly recommend all three keep their advisory boards. If you okay with that? And just do the day-to-day. It's not really what you've got before you, but I keep them in place and,
And you asked that question last month, and the answer was no, we were not advocating, or the
Yeah, but-
motion was not to get rid of the
I know, but then it
the
came up
committee.
this issue, this change of the hiring and firing.
Okay.
Okay, once you put that in there, I asked that question, and I said, are we talking about just putting them under this individual? It was Robbie at that time, and now it came out, the First Amendment was, no, they're hiring and firing under this finance director. That's a big change.
Well, I think that came about after we saw the statute, the TCA that was put in the resolution. I think that's where that came from, because
Well-
it reads as department
I sent
heads.
those first two out to you and the chairman. That tourism one, I don't think was attached at that point. That came out with the one on Friday. But, hey, I'm here to help you through this, but I'm telling you,
Sure.
the middle ground is probably to have more involvement or some involvement with the stakeholders, it'll work very smoothly. They won't think something's taken away from them. And it'll look almost identical to the original resolution we did for HR, where the county mayor is the chair and responsible for day-to-day supervision. And I think that's where the middle ground is, just my advice on that. But that's gonna, I'd like to see some feedback from the committee members. I haven't had that feedback.
Mr.
You
Chairman.
might have got calls, I haven't.
Brian, did you want to speak?
Good evening, Commissioners. I just wanted to say, I think it's wonderful that we're working to sharpen our pencils. I always say that. I'll go back and sharpen my pencil and come back and make an edit to improve. And in IT, it's always changing. It's never the same. We deal with things each morning that are different than the day before, not even similar in some ways. But what I wanted to say to you all as a group, I've been here 7 years. I was asked to come in, and I work day to day at first with about 5 departments. The rest of them didn't want me near them in fear of me being there. Then as time coalesced over the last 7 years as director, the first IT director of this county, I've coalesced this entire county into, I'm 100%, my department is running and my staff is running every one of these departments. I report to every department head in this county. I report to Mayor Terry. I report to Jeff Cole. I report to everybody I work with. I don't mind who I report to. I work, as far as Commissioner here stated, supervisory. There's probably not much time in a given day that I'm not part of this system, and not 9 to 5 or 8 to 5. Your IT director is completely plugged into this system in all ways, in all days and nights. I'm on call 24/7, and I respond. It's not a third person or another group, that's me. I'm responding all the time. At night, the last one I had was 3 a.m. at the jail. We had an internet out which was affecting the jail, so I contacted Maples, and we worked through that problem. That last department to join was the sheriff. That was about a year's worth of work on my side to get that brought in and coalesced. We're here. I feel it's been a major work for my department to get everybody working together in this county as far as IT goes. I'm on the board, thanks to Terry. I appreciate you, Terry. You helped me get with District 2 with working with the state, and I've been working with the state some. And the state has put me as, they voted me as District 2 chair of the committee for the Homeland Security for IT, CISO for the state. And I have been moved up from there into federal contact with Homeland Security for the state. So one of those contacts of 3. As a result of that, I've been given metrics and information and data that shows what the other counties are doing and what we've been doing in other counties and across this state. And the overall, we sent out grant money requests to give millions to the counties and the cities and the municipalities to fund them, help fund some of their IT operations. Just tell us what you've got. What are you doing? Give us metrics. What we got back was the schools were 76% reply. They're on top. They got it. The county governments, the county systems across this state are 10 percentile response, even offering money. We are getting little traction in our county governments in running their IT departments and running it properly from the metrics we're getting, offering money. We are under a constant attack, perpetually, at all times when you're asleep, when you're awake. China, Russia, and those agencies are trying to destroy this government. They're trying to vapidly destroy this system. We have a hot board now that I've got a screen that you all enabled us to purchase that sits in our office that Kobe and I, when we're in the building, can watch live, and it ticks every 15 seconds and shows the entire system and what's happening from every office, so we can see if there's a hit. Like if Terry opens something and something attacks, we get to see that. So not to continue and just fill the room with volume, but I wanted to state that I do work with everybody here. I don't not work with anyone. Terry and I talk with Terry every day. I don't mind reporting to Terry. I talk to Robbie directly about this. Robbie and I are doing a lot of the same things. He's handling the money side. I'm working with him in that department. I don't mind that either. In my past, also, I've called the state of Tennessee. I've called my counties that I do know have IT directors, the few that do. They are reporting to their finance directors. If they're 81s or 57s, if it's the other side like ours, they report to the mayor. The state of Tennessee reports to the finance administrator, but that's under Governor Lee, and he, because of that arrangement, the same would be I report to Terry. I feel my committee is a very, very, very needed thing, and I feel Terry in charge of the committee is an awesome thing. I'm not here to decide that for you. I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
I
but
want
we're
to-
we're not questioning your integrity or your efforts, you know, we applaud those.
Thank you.
And I think that's what the mayor is saying, actually, you know, she wants to keep the boards intact. You know, it's just, it's exactly what we're talking about, is exactly what you just said. You know,
Yeah.
she's, because of the statute, should be in charge. You know, that puts us in line
Yes,
with
and
everything
that's,
else.
I just want you all to take that information and understand that to get here took a lot out of my soul. But at the same time, it was an achievement for this county and for the previous commissioners that were here, and I want to state the same. Just let's be very careful in what we do, and I want to say personally that I think this is just a tad fast for some of the people I'm reporting to on the other sides, but that's not between people in this room. I have no issues reporting to Terry, but I just want to be easy with this, and I believe what Jay's saying, that give them time to digest this, because I came here in a different way. So that's, other than that, is there any questions I can answer?
Thank you, Brian. Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think all my questions have been answered. I was gonna agree with Commissioner Yeager and the others. The IT department, they're very, very unique. They have a high level of executive function. My background is that too, so I know that they do a variety of things, very, very high level, constantly, and like Brian says, it always changes. They could program, they have to worry about, hits on people's files, they have to worry about international surveillance and attacks, and they have to just come down from that and actually help someone one-on-one sometimes too. So it's not that they are just a bunch of nerds. These are some highly valuable, technically savvy people that have a variety of things to accomplish every single day. They touch all of our lives in this county. So I did want Brian to speak, and he did, so I'm good with that.
And for the record, Commissioner Allen is the commissioner that sits on that committee.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Barron.
I just don't know that we have to rush into this thing like, has to be done today. We need to have it down where everybody understands, clear, laid out, and it'd be something that will last and it's legal, rather than trying to just rush this thing through. I think we should defer and like I say, make sure that everybody involved has a say, and then we can move forward clearly in one direction together. I don't see any need to rush it through tonight.
I have a question for
Commissioner.
Commissioner Barron. Yeah, do you feel that way about the tourism? Do you want to defer that one? Just,
We can't, we've already.
Yeah,
That one's already.
that one's already passed.
Well.
So, the
Yeah,
HR
I do
failed.
feel that way.
HR
And
failed.
I think maybe whenever it comes up with, for commission, maybe that's what commission should do,
So HR failed, and so you would feel the same way that maybe we're just moving too fast?
Well, the HR failed means that we're gonna have to go over it again,
Yeah.
you know, so, I mean, you know, but, and like I say, I think we should just do it, you know, in a calm, slow manner. The world's not gonna come to an end if we don't pass it tonight, you know, and let everybody understand what's going on and get through it, you know, rather than trying to just pass it and this is what we got now, right, wrong, or indifferent. I mean, you know, I went through all the different things over the weekend too, and, then I got to that one point where it says state law designates this. I said, well, okay, well, what's that gonna entail if something happens? Say we get a mayor that wants to fire somebody that's not for just cause, you know, or what if, you know, something else happens. I think we ought to think of the ramifications of what this means, you know.
So are you making a motion to defer?
I'll make a motion to defer.
Okay. Do we have a second on that?
Is it on just the IT?
Just the IT.
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Second? Okay. Let's vote on the motion. Yes is to approve to defer to next month. Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Against, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Motion fails. Okay.
That's why we need 9 members instead of 8.
Anytime you want me to get involved in this and find the middle ground, I can tell you what the issue is. And we could put it together
Commissioner Palmer?
real quick.
Jay, are we breaking the law right now?
I wouldn't say we're breaking the law,
Just
but we
like
need to get
heavily
compliance
bending
with
it?
56106. There's no doubt about that.
We're not in compliance?
We need to get compliance. The county mayor's not supervising those departments right now.
Now, would that come under the comptroller? Would we get a finding over that?
I don't know. It's usually not an area they audit.
Okay.
And just for giggles, I guess, if something were to happen between now and next month, when we bring it back up, who's responsible? The chairman of each of those committees?
What's
Like,
happened?
I
Tell me
mean,
what
like
you mean.
if something, I don't know, any kind of legal something, people
I
can
can't
sue
imagine.
for whatever.
I can't imagine what that would be. I mean, people sue for anything.
True,
You've been
okay.
around here any amount of time.
But
You've seen
at
that.
this time, the chairman of each committee is responsible for any what ifs.
Okay, as it stands now, I
Okay.
would love to go back to the original HR resolution. And that was really close to the middle ground. County Commission passed that years ago and had the day-to-day operations of HR under the county mayor. And, everybody was in agreement with it at that time, and I think I can get them to come around to it now.
That would have been my suggestion.
But this is one of the rubbing points. Are we gonna have people terminated? Now, I'm not saying Terry would do that or not. These people are career Anderson County employees that have dedicated their lives to this, to HR, to IT, to tourism. I don't wanna lose any of them. I really don't.
So
And
could
the
the chairman?
stakeholders would like a say in that, and that's what it amounts to.
So could the chairman, they could fire now?
No, they make a recommendation. There
Okay.
is no unilateral firing in either one of those. But I want to be compliant, but I want you to know there's a couple of areas here that is the rub, and we can work through them. There's no doubt about that in my mind.
Thank you.
Commissioner Anderson, do you have something?
Well, look, to Chairman Mays go, and
I would
I'm
just-
still kind of mulling mine.
I'm sure they're watching, but I would just ask these elected officials that have talked about it over the weekend, that talked about it when it was presented in October. I mean, if you remember, IT had a meeting shortly thereafter.
Yeah,
It was on their agenda to talk about this. Is show up, talk about it. Don't talk about it in your offices or make phone calls or text messages. Show up and talk about it. And when it comes to firing, elections have consequences, good or bad. The county in 2022 elected her to be the CEO of this county. If she doesn't do a good job in 4 years, vote her out. Just like us. If we don't do a good job, vote us out. That's the will of the people. And I don't, in all due respect to the law director, I don't think it's his job to find the middle ground. I think it's his job to advise us on the law. If they've got issues or if they've got recommendations or concerns, then they need to come to the committee and present those concerns. No different than anybody else, no different than we ask anybody to do, no different than what you guys do. At the end of the day, I can assure you under the statute that their jobs fall under, none of this of what we're talking about here tonight encompasses it at all. Only one position in this county does, and that's the county mayor. And I don't think this body does that, but if there's any issue with politics involved in this, personally, I think that's why we're standing here tonight in the first place. You know, she's the mayor, period, at the end of the day. Like it or not, love it or not, she's the mayor. And I don't think the law recognizes middle ground or any other type of stakeholder advice. But I would just encourage all of those folks, again, I mean, to set aside time to come and let those be known. Because I know they did over the weekend at a great length.
Commissioner Aiken.
Yeah, do we have a motion to accept this resolution, the IT resolution? We haven't had that motion, have we?
No.
Can I make that motion now?
Yes.
I'd like to make that motion now to accept this resolution.
Okay. We'll have a second. Motion made by Commissioner Allen, seconded by Commissioner Yeager to accept the resolution as written, and even the IT director is okay with the mayor being the overseer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
No.
Raise your hand for aye. 1, 2. Those no. Motion passes. Okay. All right.
What's your next one, Mr. Chairman?
The next one is the drought resolution.
Drought
Motion to
resolution.
approve.
You got that in front of you? The drought resolution, what we were able to do is Tennessee moved into that category, second to the worst, and we're eligible for drought assistance. This resolution basically asks for an extension on the application, and that's it. That, from what our research showed, is a hard date set by the federal government, but we're gonna instead try to change that for 30 days to allow our farmers, there's a lot of documentation they've got to get together, and let them to at least try to get this documentation together and extend that deadline for another 30 days.
I know Commissioner Anderson, one that brought this up. You got any discussion on that?
No, just the main thing, like Jay said, is just extend that application period so that local farmers can get relief, and then so hopefully the other counties are working on this too, so we can kind of get our congressional delegation just to be aware of it.
Okay.
Work with farmers.
Okay, it does have a section on there that requires the county clerk, or it would be me probably, send this to our congressional delegation, the governor, and try to get some assistance there to the state. Any questions on that one?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
Rescue squad?
Yes.
Okay, this has come up here in the fire commission. We've done a lot of work in this area. I've tried to copy most of y'all of our findings. We're still waiting on the Secretary of State to send us our stuff we paid for. Hopefully we'll be here any day. I keep saying that. Tracy, I know you're not excited. I'm not either. But anyway, this bill is something that reflects what our EMS and fire departments have to do, and is going to be passed on to the rescue squad, and what it allows is a 3-year certification. This bill's not passed yet, and we're asking this resolution that urge our representatives to the Senate and House of Representatives to pass it. This would put more standards on rescue squads. It gives the State Fire Marshal's Office the ability to adopt rules and regulations like they do for EMS, like they do for fire departments, and it is a 3-year certification that has to be renewed every 3 years. It basically gives a lot more oversight. What we're experiencing here in Anderson County is evidently we're not alone on. There's a problem statewide. Some people, if you see this in the newspaper, refer to it as the Bailey Act. That's named for the state rep that brought it forward. But it does put some assurances that our rescue squads are going to be compliant legally with training and certifications, stay active with the Secretary of State, and those matters. I think it's a good idea, and it's certainly something that's in the news in Anderson County right now, and we're trying to fix at the Fire Commission level. Any questions on this resolution? Right now, it was introduced last year, and it's stuck in local government, but it'll be resurrected soon when the General Assembly becomes in session. It'll come out of local government committee.
Do I hear a motion to accept?
Motion to approve.
Motion to second, motion by Commissioner Wandell, seconded by Commissioner McCamey. Any discussion?
I would like for Commissioner Wandell to weigh in on this. I think he's someone that's an expert in this area. What do you think about this, Commissioner Wandell?
Well, this is, as Jay said, this is something that came from the state. Representative Bailey brought it to the attention. I think it's something that's needed. It seems as if throughout the state, the oversight for rescue squads is lacking at best.
Yes.
The volunteer squads that we have to do much more to stay active within the state than the rescue squad. I did attend the rescue squad's board selection meeting the other night, just sat in, and so they're on their way to get a new board. So that's encouraging, but long way to go and see what happens. So yeah, I'm in full support of anything that can help bring structure to this rescue squad.
Thank you.
It's well said. Thank you, Tracy and Commissioner Beauchamp, for staying on top of this. I don't know if we got on top of it without you. But we were listening to Nathan, our director of the EMS, the other night at the Fire Commission, and we've had a member of the rescue squad actually come out, arriving on the scene, not dispatched, and administering medical assistance that's not even a first responder. And I think most of us know that Nathan is in charge of all first responders, paramedics, and EMTs. He has to keep a list of each volunteer fire department, who's certified, who's not. And it's just become, you know, a little rogue outfit at times. But I'm all for the rescue squad mission, I really am. And we just need to keep on this with the Fire Commission and get it right and help them get it corrected. And we'll move forward. But some of that stuff, giving medical assistance to somebody that's administered by somebody that's not even trained as a first responder is a problem. There's liability there. And Nathan was pretty shocked when he heard that. But anyway, we'll get it better. I promise you that. But this is the first step. I like it a lot.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Just real quickly, I just want to say this. Not everyone at the rescue squad is an issue, okay? There's a lot of good people at the rescue squad, done a lot of good things. Like we're doing here for these other departments now, which are putting oversight in to do the right things. I just want to be very clear on my previous votes. I can assure you, none of my votes are political. All my votes are based on trying to make an informed decision. When I look at this 506 law you mentioned or whatever, for some reason, we've never been found in the audit as being out of compliance. So for me to make a decision tonight on it when everyone hasn't had any say-so, for me personally, I just didn't want to do that. I felt it was important to give every department an opportunity to correct it, just as the rescue squad of Anderson County deserves the right to correct themselves, and they're in that process now. It doesn't do them any good for us to come in and slap them over the head and say you're bad and do away with it, because that's not the way it should work. So I just want to make that statement. I'm in support of any changes. I have no problem with the mayor being over the IT department or any department that she should have the rights to. In fact, at that meeting, I believe I asked the mayor that question, if she had any issues with being over the IT and the HR department. And you know, it's something that you just can't, I think she even said this perhaps, didn't want to answer it off the cuff, but you know, we'll get there, and I'm confident we'll do it. You know, I didn't hear from the mayor tonight on these. You know, it had been important for me to hear from the mayor, I support this or I don't support that. I wanted to take this, I don't want to take that. I'm not blaming the mayor, no one asked her. I guess I could have, but I didn't feel like that's the way the discussion was going. So I'll say that. So I'm in support of this Bailey Act, and I appreciate Jay bringing it to our attention. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
I think that's it, Mr. Chairman, for me.
That's it. Next, under new business, Anderson County 911 app. And I think Tyler, our Chairman Mays, can help with this, and Brian's going to do a little slideshow. I happened across this in a Anderson County tourism adventure. Go ahead, Commissioner Wandell.
Before we get on this app, I think the last meeting we had, Mr. Chairman, I made a motion to add the Veterans Department under the mayor as well, and that passed. I was just curious why we're not talking about it.
Yeah, it wasn't on the agenda, and it wasn't on there.
Did we have a motion to do that?
Yes.
Or just ask a question?
Yes,
Okay,
we had a
let me
motion.
draw up a resolution on that.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want me to bring it back to this committee or just draw up a resolution to have it at the county commission? It'd be real similar to the tourism.
I'm happy to do whatever the mayor's comfortable with.
I'll bring it back next month.
Okay.
Bring it back next month?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Commissioner Wandell.
Hey, no problem.
Anyway, I happened to run across this app, and I thought, if I can use this, anybody can. And it's a lot of great information. And sometimes we get these things, it's been out here for a while, but I just found out about it, and I thought, man, everybody can use this. But Commissioner Mays, I'll let you and Brian.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. At first, when I saw it on the agenda, I was like, oh, what's this about? But I know that he's wanting to raise awareness for this app. So just really quick, not long, I mean, it's a little over a year ago, the 911, Anderson County 911 got rid of the code red system, which was more of like a mass notification alert on their phone, on a landline phone. And as you can know, I mean, that is definitely a thing of the past. It doesn't service a lot of folks. So they went with an app, and we built it for them. But really, when this thing, and they didn't do a lot of marketing with it, because again, you really don't want to hear from 911 unless it's an emergency. They're not always pushing things out like the sheriff's department does. But the brush fires is really when this thing kind of took off. They gave Director Kidwell access to the app to utilize and to send out what they call push notifications. And really that is the key to a lot of this, are the push notifications. So one of the things, so whenever he was providing updates in the media, if you had the app, you were also seeing those same exact things, but you were getting it in real time. So all of those notifications were coming to your phone the moment he hit send. The other thing that we have done, and I definitely want to thank, my boss, because it wasn't me. Bryce has done such an amazing job with EMA, and the EMA didn't really have a big portion of this app. So I went to them, and they agreed to do the EMA section totally free of charge. The other thing that is important is something called iPause. I don't know if you remember, but I guess it was a couple of months ago when everybody's phone was basically went off at the same time when they did this big alert test. That is an iPause alert. And so what this will do, it'll give Anderson County now the ability, if something catastrophic is happening in the county, I mean, we're booked in by North Dam and by, the lab and the plant, is that not only will they be able to send a push notification, but if you don't have the app, well, the push notification doesn't do you any good. But through iPause, if you've got a cell phone, that alert will be able to get through your phone and get to all residents of Anderson County who have a cell phone. That's something that EMA has gotten certified to do. That's something that we as a provider are able to do, and we were thrilled to death to give it to build this for Anderson County, of course at no charge, just because it's something that I didn't fuss, but I really went begging and pleading with my boss, and they saw that it was a good need. But I don't know if Brian can even pull it up on there.
With the screen split and then the channel.
Yeah, so if you've got it downloaded, a lot of the things that you're going to see on there are just some basic stuff. Information about the 911 board and EMA. So if you see on the screen there, the 911 addressing, there's just a lot of different things. But what I would encourage you to do is make sure that you have that push notification channel open, because not only does it send out push notifications, it'll send out National Weather Service alerts. As soon as the NWS sends a notification, for an example, of all the tornadoes that happen in Middle Tennessee, I've got about 18 clients all in that circle there, with a lot of downloads, and that's where a lot of people knew where to go take shelter. That's information that goes in these apps. We have a Be Ready section to where in the event of a tornado warning or whatever, it gives you kind of a checklist. So these folks are going in and creating their own checklist in their phone of making sure they have this and that, or water, flashlights and batteries and all of those things. It's just getting Anderson County ready for, God forbid, an event that we hope never happens here. But I do appreciate Chairman Isbell for bringing it, because again, these things are not worth a dime if no one's downloading them. And there's good information on there. I'd like to see Anderson County surpass. We've got a county in Ohio that has 78,000 residents, and they've got 34,000 downloads, which is insane. But that would be such a great thing for the citizens. It's a way for us to engage the people in real time when things are happening. So a lot of things that Bryce was doing, he was literally on the mountain sending those out as he was sending those notifications out. So happy to answer any questions. Again, happy to, we were happy to do this and partner with EMA. It was, I can tell you, working with EMAs across the state, man, we're fortunate. Bryce Kidwell is he's top notch. He's doing good stuff, and I think he's taking it to a whole new level.
When you go to the app and you click on, like, say, community resources there, what will come up?
So, Brian, I don't know if you can click. So when you click on community resources, what you're going to find are resources that are specific to Anderson County. So if a family's been in the middle of a storm or had some kind of damage or anything like that, it'll give them access and contact information for, food shelters or food pantries, clothing places where they can go and be replenished in the event of a fire or in the event of a storm. Any type of resource that's available in Anderson County, that information goes there. Another thing that will be on there, as you know, EMA is not a huge staff, and we've got a lot of volunteers that work in the county, and they don't catch everything. So one of the other features that we were putting in for Bryce is being able to report damage. So if I'm out on Mahaffey Road and I see something that's happened, I can right there on my cell phone report the damage. It'll go directly to Bryce and his contacts, and he'll get real-time information where you can submit images, you can submit the location, the whole nine, for them to be able to, and this will help dispatch too. They get inundated when we have storms and trees and all of those things, but it's something that Bryce, I know, wants to, a lot of EMAs, they give channels to your volunteer departments. That way, because in the event of something that
So in other words, if somebody's driving, there's a tree down on a back road, they can use that app?
yeah, they can use the app. They can take pictures of where they're at. They put in where they're at, what they've seen. As soon as they hit send, it's going to populate on Bryce's phone.
So then who will he contact? Because I always call Gary Long, that's who I call.
Yeah, so it depends on the protocol. I mean, if it's a tree down the road, Bryce will probably call Gary.
So they'll take care of that,
Yeah, that'll be something that they do. Another key component is really with these volunteer rescue squad, the rescue squad and the volunteer fire departments, is a lot of time they work, they're doing, if there's a wreck on Edgemore Road where gas is spilled or whatever, I mean, they're all out there together. And having them a private channel where it doesn't go out to the public, but they can communicate to, let's say, Claxton Volunteer Fire Department through a backdoor channel that doesn't get broadcasted out, but it kind of keeps that information going. It may be someone that's not there that is wanting to respond. They may get that information and say that they don't need to anymore. So it's just another communication tool for all of the rescue agencies.
What about the emergency profile? Is that the individual?
So this is something for dispatch. So right now, it's kind of gone nationwide, but you can fill out this emergency health profile, and it goes to dispatch. So if Commissioner Anderson calls 911, or his son had to call 911 for him, I hope that never happens. But if they've got this profile on you, the people responding know what medications he's on, know if he's got any allergies, knows if there's going to be a dog coming off the porch to attack him or attack them, or all of those things are included in this information. So that way when EMS, when volunteer fire department and the sheriff's office go out, dispatch already has that information, and they can let them know this is, this patient suffers from this, here's their allergies, here's the medications they're currently on. I mean, again, it's a voluntary, and here's the thing too, just for the sake of storing PHI and PII, that's nothing the app stores. So when that thing comes through, it goes straight to a dispatch system. Bryce doesn't see that, I can't see that, no one can see that information, and it doesn't get stored in these apps for a lot of safety reasons. But that's something I encourage a lot of people to do, is that emergency profile, because Nathan could attest to this, that it will save, and Robert could too. If they've got this information before they show up, they know all of that, then it'll save a lot of time on treatment.
All right, what about the 911 address? Is that?
Yeah, so what they do across the street, if they've got any kind of request or want information, they can just submit the request through 911 through this app. Again, it's just everybody lives on these things now, on our phones. That's where it's at. If you're not on a phone, you're on a tablet. No one's carrying around their laptops. And what I believe is that we need to find the people where they're at and get them information of where they're getting their own information. And so I think that's what's so important about having a mobile app.
And one other thing, what about the public records request? What is that about?
So a lot of times, especially in dispatch, people want to get copies of a 911 tape or things like that. They can do it through that means. Just letting them know.
All right.
Yeah, I have a question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You mentioned iPause, and you mentioned it associated with an iPhone. Does this iPause work for the Android system?
It works for any.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's just a generic term.
Well, when it comes to mobile, it's kind of the easy navigation is to think it's just for Apple, but
it's for all phones.
Yeah, it would work for all. Yeah.
Anyway, and I just seen this, I just put it on there, and then Chairman Mays, wondered, what's this about? And I thought, well, it's just for information only.
Yeah.
Then I find out that, you know, he's been on this. So county commission's doing their job.
Yeah, and stay tuned for the EMA section, because it's, when they get the IPAWS certification done, that, across the world in EMA, that's a game changer, because you're now being able to reach literally everybody. So that's something that's a big deal for our EMA department to be able to do. It's a big deal for the citizens too.
Any other questions? Thank you. Any old business?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner McKenna?
Interlocal agreement with the library board, that was deferred last month. Jay sent it out again also with changes that were requested by the committee. And I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and approve that.
Okay. I had some other commissioners talk to me about that, and they haven't had time to get with their city, you know, their municipalities, you know, of any changes or anything like that. I think each commissioner, that like the ones for Clinton and for Norris, and I've already reached out to Mayor Templin today, and I think should give the opportunity, you know, for the commissioners to reach out to the city. And you know, we've seen here in the last couple of meetings about maybe our relationship between the county and the city being stretched a little bit. So I think that, you know, the commissioners of each district need to reach out to the municipalities and make sure that we're not making a decision on them without them knowing about it.
I agree.
Yeah. So I would like to defer this again, you know, for 30 more days and give everybody ample opportunity.
That's fine with me.
I don't see a problem with it. Mayor Templin don't see a problem with it. But it gives, you know, time to get with the Norris and Clinton City Council. And,
Who's the mayor of Briceville?
well, let's see. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, that's fine. Just make sure that we get it on the agenda for next month.
Yeah, but like Mayor Templin did look at it, he didn't have a problem with it, but I just think, you know, that way we show that we're just not making decisions without, you know, because they're the ones that's responsible for this.
Mr. Chairman, I think if I'm not mistaken, a couple of months ago or two, what would that be, the October meeting, did we not ask the mayor to gather some information and talk to, I'm just wondering, Mayor Frank, have you?
I'll present to you
in January. All right, thank you.
I think, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to circle back to these items 1, 2, and 3 under the Law Director report, because I'm going to be thinking about this till 3 in the morning. I'm just not happy with any way I could have voted on any of them tonight. And I kind of I would like the Law Director to try to seek the middle ground, because I want to make sure that the committees still have some, that it's not just, I know sometimes commission, we talk, if it's an advisory committee, we kind of set them down and maybe ignore them sometimes, but since this is with the hiring and firing authority, I would like Jay to kind of, before next Monday, before the meeting, just kind of find what that issue is and see if there's some way we can be compliant with the law and kind of respect those committees.
I'll need to speak with the mayor.
Right, yeah, I understand that, but.
And all the elected officials.
Yeah.
You know, we can work it out.
Yeah, the day-to-day operations I kind of understand, and when we talked about tourism, it seemed like that was a little more nuanced with the state law, which is why I voted the way I did. But I do want us to be compliant with the law, but for the hiring and firing, I'd like, if there's anything you can work out or find out on that before next Monday.
Mayor?
So I would like to just kind of address the use of the word fire that was raised tonight in this discussion, and a comment that was made that we're living in different times. I want to go back to 2017, well, a little bit before that, where Brian Young was hired by our finance director, Natalie Erb. And as Brian excelled and was able to reach out, this county moved towards making IT its own department, and then placing Brian in a position as the director of that department. And a resolution was drafted, and it was passed, and I did not put my signature on that resolution. And Brian can share with you that I called Brian to my office and I said, hey, I want you to understand, when you look at this resolution, you're not going to see my signature, and here's why. I don't think that it's a proper reporting structure. It has nothing to do with you. I think you're doing a great job. I'll continue to encourage you. As he let you know tonight, I recommended him to a very important position from his area of expertise for Homeland Security and cyber awareness, and now he's helping counties across the state of Tennessee. And so when the word fire is used tonight, it plants a seed in people that are watching at home. It plants a seed in staff here that somehow there is some intrigue, that there is something that's being stated about any of the people that are mentioned tonight. And I just want to clarify for everyone at home, for all the employees, this was a discussion that was generated by commission. This is not a mayor-led discussion. However, when it did come up at the strategic workshop, I did share that I have for a very long time felt like we were not in compliance. But I'm not an attorney, and I did not have that legal opinion. You all have now been provided the statute, and tonight the law director has said we have a compliance issue. And so I haven't raised, I haven't come up here and beat my shoe on the desk. I've raised this issue several times over the years, and this isn't about Mayor Frank. It's about any mayor. It's about what the code says. It's about a proper reporting structure. Even on this particular issue, I discussed it with Brian, I've discussed with Kim. If it changes, if it passes, they're gonna wake up tomorrow morning and it's gonna be the same day in Anderson County. We're still gonna be talking. There'll just be, the county will become in compliance. I think that I have shown at the state level and both locally, I can collaborate. And I have no intention of ending collaboration. But I just want folks to understand, because that word was thrown out there. This was commission asking, how does this work, and what's proper, and what's compliance, and what do other counties do? And so I just kind of wanted to clear the air and put any minds at rest, and pour water on any fire that may have been started by the use of that word. So thank you for allowing me to editorialize, Mr. Chairman.
And I agree with what Terry's saying. In order for this to work, I sat down before any of the change in the government. I came in February of 16 before the Rule 57 to 81 or vice versa. And we didn't know what was going to happen at that time. I came at that flux of that change and made it through it. But look, I understand the TCA codes that have to be followed. I don't have any problem reporting to anybody. Terry knows that, everybody knows that. But I just want to make one comment. I've been here 7 years, and I've never missed a commission meeting ever, and I've never heard the word fire mentioned so many times as I have tonight in my career here. And I think it's concerning a little bit. Not on Terry's side, I think we're good. But I don't understand that aspect of it, and I just want to state that out there. I've never worked here hearing that word all the time, and it is what Terry's saying. It's causing a chilling effect. On top of that, I do want y'all to understand and remember there is an equilibrium in this, and I want y'all to remember that part of it. And it's to save the money for the citizens of this county. Since I arrived, I'm over on Chronicle articles that have been printed, probably 500,000 in printed articles that I've brought in savings to the county. And I just want to say that I'm fine with what Terry's working with and what y'all are doing.
And we've talked about this before, even on the IT thing, that he's contributed federally to one of those committees that, you know.
We've got to, as a society, understand, and it's not getting out there because of what metrics I'm seeing. If Tennessee's an example of the rest of this country, our enemies are doing better. And if we don't sharpen this pencil on their side, and I don't mean just this county, as a society, these computers and these systems that we're all plugged into, our children are playing at night, that we're a part of, we truly don't know what's going on with a lot of those avenues, and they're controlled by players that want to devastate us. So I do say this role is very unique. Sheriff Barker walks out, he's concerned with the police and the problems in this community. I wake up in the morning and don't go to bed at night worrying about what Xi Jinping's doing to this community. So it's a hard row. I don't know how to handle it sometimes with like home life, balancing with taking the internet feed I have at my house, for instance. I have to do business at my house on my personal internet. I'm funding that out of my own means. But those are things that have never been discussed. There's protections that I feel that could be in order for me a little bit to prevent me. I can't tell you how many times I've had my identity stolen. I've been hacked out from underneath me. People have come after my accounts in my personal life. I've had my taxes filed for me as someone else. I've been a target for years with these idiots out here that want to destroy us. But just be aware, I think it's good knowledge for all of us that we have all got to, as a community, get a better than a 10% response on free money for IT for our state. And it's greatly concerning. My kids live here, we all live here. If you can't go to the bank and use your card to run a transaction, how do you go to the grocery store and feed your children if those systems go down? And we should be a guiding light. And I feel like this county was a guiding light in the 40s. It was in the 50s. We developed technologies for this country to defend this country to this day. And we have seen almost every community around us, from Knoxville to Loudoun County to Oak Ridge cities to all these different places, hacked and attacked. And we're a prime target. So just remember that, and I'll hush. Thank you all.
Mr. Yeager?
Brian, I just want to tell you that we've never been opposed to anything you've been wanted to do. We've been so supportive of you, and I know you realize that, yes. But I appreciate everything you've ever done.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner McCamey?
I just want to say I did not use that word tonight. I know, and it's...
I don't like to use that word. My word's termination, but it was used to me, and I addressed that issue and told you how it came about.
Well, we threw some water on the fire, so. Yeah. Commissioner Anderson?
Oh, no, that's all I have.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to see if I can get an update on Pine Meadows Bend Mobile Home Park.
Glad to, and I promised you that letter last week, and Tracy, I went back and looked at it, and I worked on it Friday afternoon, and I'll send you something tomorrow. I wanted to send it to, there's you, Tyler, the mayor, and the sheriff are all mentioned in there, and the efforts you've taken down there, codes enforcement and the building commissioner. I put them all in there. I want to make sure every one of you are okay with my draft before I send it out. And if you want to, I can put it in the county commission agenda packet, but I don't think that's necessary. You requested it and the mayor requested it, but I want to make sure all those people that requested that letter or that have been involved in the remediation of bins look at it and approve of it, the language that I used. Rachel helped me with it. She did a good job. And we've made some big strides there. Now, I know not everybody's going to be happy with what we've done there because it doesn't give them everything they've asked for, but we continue to work on it. And I like the idea of the grant you brought forward. And I know John mentioned that we weren't in that census block, but we can request reappraisal that census block. And I believe it'd be a close call to me. I can't believe how some of these areas are in that qualify and not that area along Edgemore Road. So I'd like to think about, let's going back to the feds and say reevaluate that census block. That's how they determine that, and see if we can do a little bit better with qualifying there. But I do want all of you guys that have asked for that and been working on Ben so much over the past several years to approve our draft letter. If you don't know about it, it's a letter to all the residents and homeowners in Pine Meadows Mobile Home Park. That's its true name. Just letting them know what the county has done in the past several years down there to help remediate some of their concerns. And I think we've done a lot, and we'll continue to do more. I know it's not gonna, I wanna be forthright with the people. I wanna be honest with them and let them know we'll keep working. We've got a commitment to that subdivision. And, but anyway, that's where we're at on, sir. And we've got a good draft written. I just need to tailor it up a little bit, and I'll send it to you guys and let you, you might have some ideas you want to put in there.
Thank you, Jane.
Commissioner Wandell, also, there is, I was scheduled to have a call, and I could not be on the call, but I'm going to get back on the call with the state of Tennessee. They have a new grant that they are offering, and it was discussed at the Tennessee County Services Association meeting, which is a brownfield grant. And I know one of the sessions I was in, several of the other county commissioners were in that same one. And I specifically mentioned, not by name, but I mentioned Ben's and some of the issues that we had had in there. Burned, you know, a burned trailer has contaminants. Some of the issues with failing sewer, and I asked if that would be eligible for this brownfield assessment grant, which essentially, if we are able to get that, they would come in under cost with the state, do an assessment, take a look, and it would give us, you know, some ability to maybe do outreach for assistance. I mean, there's a whole nother level that can happen after that initial assessment. So that application opens up in January, and that's what I'm looking into, like what are the details? Yeah.
So when we talked, and that's great information, and I certainly want to support that, and I appreciate the update, Jay. What we had talked about in that one meeting was the idea of writing a letter to all the property owners and informing the property owners of Anderson County's position on where they are as it relates to our zoning laws, and letting them know the only options for them at this time would be for them to form an HOA and take action personally, because those properties don't lie with the county, correct? The roads I'm speaking of. So that's kind of the reason I was asking the question. Since we met, so it might be appropriate, if you guys are okay, I'd like to probably make a motion to have that letter drafted and have approval by the mayor, and then, you know, I certainly want the chairman to take a look at it. He's from the district, and then let's get it out to all the property owners. Is that something that you would both be in agreement with?
Is that something we need county commission approval on, or?
I don't know. I mean, I just know that sometimes when you don't make motions in the county, sometimes you might talk about it a little while. Not you, me, but.
I'll get it to you tomorrow.
Okay.
And I'll get it to all the stakeholders
Okay.
tomorrow.
So,
All right, we got a motion, we got a second? Okay.
okay. And then the only other thing I want to say is I was informed that Ben Graves have sold his properties. So, okay. So, you know, I don't know how that affects things there, but I definitely think the first step is to get that letter out to all the property owners so they are informed of the county's position as it relates to the roads, expected zoning, and things that are needed to be done going forward.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
We've spoken with the gentleman that is trying to buy. There's two people that have asked us about the amount of lawsuits and the complaints we've had in there, and we've been forthright on that.
I had some general conversation, but I'm very curious as when they put the expansion of Edgemore there, how that's going to impact Ben's. I've heard discussions of a retaining wall. You know, that kind of makes me scratch my head. How big will the retaining wall be, and how far will it go into Pine Meadows? But anyway, those are all good, but I think it starts with a letter. So I appreciate the feedback, and if I could do anything, Mayor or Jay, let me know.
Just take a
And I
look
know.
at it, give me comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we got a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Okay, anything else come before this committee? Thank you.